Picture this. I'm standing at my kitchen window, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the patchy grass of our backyard, and I'm tracing the outline of a chipped coffee mug with my thumb, lost in thought. My name's Samantha, and at 30 years old, I've carved out a quiet little life for myself just outside Chicago, in a suburban neighborhood where the loudest thing you'll hear is a lawnmower on a Saturday. I'm a graphic designer working from the cluttered corner of our living room that I've turned into a makeshift studio. My days are filled with deadlines and digital sketches, the hum of my laptop a constant companion while I sip lukewarm coffee and try to ignore the world outside. Our home is small, a modest 2-bedroom place that Ryan and I bought right after we got married 5 years ago. Ryan's 32, a mechanic with hands rough from years of turning wrenches, and a laugh that can fill a room when he's in the right mood. But there's a hardness to him too, a sharpness that's grown over time from late nights at the garage, and the weight of bills piling up on the kitchen counter. Our house reflects us in a way. Mismatched furniture we've scrounged from thrift stores, a couch with a sagging middle, and walls adorned with framed photos that capture moments I sometimes struggle to remember feeling. There's our wedding day, both of us grinning like fools under a cheap arch of fake flowers. A beach vacation where the sun turned Ryan's nose red, and silly selfies with exaggerated faces, taken on nights when laughter came easy. Those pictures are a reminder of what we've built, even if lately, I've caught myself staring at them with a pang of something I can't quite name. Marriage isn't always a straight line, you know? Financial stress has been gnawing at us, with Ryan pulling extra shifts and me taking on freelance gigs just to keep our heads above water. We've had more arguments than I'd like to admit. Sharp words exchanged over petty things like who forgot to pay the electric bill or why there's never enough in the fridge. But beneath it all, I still hold on to this stubborn hope that we'll find our way back to those framed photo days. I have to believe that. Ryan's got his crew, though, a group of guys he's known since high school, and they're as much a part of his life as I am. There's Jake, a construction worker with a voice that booms like a foghorn, always the loudest in any room and quick to slap you on the back a little too hard. Then there's Travis, the bartender who doesn't say much but watches everything with this intense, unreadable stare that makes my skin prickle sometimes. Marcus is the smooth talker, a salesman who can charm anyone with a grin and a well-placed compliment, though I've always wondered how much of it is genuine. And finally, there's Ethan, the youngest of the bunch, a tech geek who's shy at first. I'm sitting in the living room, curled up on the sagging couch with my sketch pad balanced on my knees, the soft scratch of my pencil against paper, the only sound in the quiet house. It's just past 9 p.m., and I'm deep into a client project, trying to nail down the perfect design for a logo that's been giving me grief all week. The glow of a single lamp casts a warm light over my cluttered corner, papers and colored pencils scattered around me like a chaotic artist's nest. I'm in my own little world, focused, when the front door bursts open with a bang that makes me jump, my pencil skidding across the page. Ryan stumbles in first, his face flushed a deep red, the kind of color that only comes from too many drinks in too short a time. His boots thud heavily on the hardwood as he half staggers, half strides into the house, a sloppy grin plastered on his face. Behind him, Jake, Travis, Marcus, and Ethan pile in, their laughter erupting like a thunderstorm, loud and unapologetic. The air shifts instantly, filling with the sharp tang of beer and the musky scent of sweat from a long night out. Ryan tosses his jacket onto the floor near the door, not even bothering to aim for the hook, and slurs out a greeting that's more grunt than words. "Hey babe, we're home," he mumbles, already turning away before I can respond. Jake's right behind him, cracking open a can from the six-pack dangling in his hand, the hiss of carbonation cutting through the noise as he lets out a booming laugh about something I didn't catch. He flops onto the armchair across from me, beer sloshing over the rim, and I wince as I imagine the stain it'll leave on the already worn fabric. Travis, quieter as always, heads straight for the old Bluetooth speaker on the shelf, fumbling with his phone until classic rock blares through the room, the bass thumping so hard I can feel it in my chest. Marcus makes a beeline for the kitchen, yanking open the fridge door with a familiarity that grates on me, pulling out a bag of chips and a jar of salsa like he lives here. "Yo, Sam, you got anything good in here?" he calls out, not waiting for an answer before digging in. And then there's Ethan, lingering near the doorway, hands stuffed in his pockets, offering me a sheepish grin as if he's apologizing for the chaos unfolding around him. I manage a tight smile back, but inside, I'm already bristling. The house, my quiet sanctuary just moments ago, is now a cacophony of clinking bottles, booming voices, and the relentless pulse of music. They sprawl across the furniture like they own every inch of the place, boots propped on the coffee table, crumbs already littering the floor from Marcus's raid. I set my sketch pad aside, the irritation bubbling up hot and fast in my throat. I'm sitting there on the couch, my sketch pad forgotten beside me, the noise of Ryan and his friends filling every corner of our small living room. The irritation I felt when they first barged in is still simmering, but I'm trying to keep it together, to not let it show on my face. I'm taking slow breaths, focusing on the thump of the music Travis has cranked up, when suddenly, Ryan lurches to his feet. The beer bottle in his hand slams down on the coffee table with a sharp crack that cuts through the chaos like a knife. The room goes quiet for a split second, just long enough for me to register the wild look in his eyes before he turns on me, his voice booming louder than Jake's ever could. "What the hell, Samantha? You think I don't see what you're doing?" His words are slurred, thick with alcohol, but they drip with venom that hits me like a punch. I blink up at him, my heart stuttering in my chest as he leans forward, pointing a shaky finger right at my face. "You've been sneaking around, hiding things from me. Don't even try to deny it. I see the way you look at my friends, batting your eyes like I'm not even here. And don't get me started on the money. You ain't supporting us worth a damn, even though I'm busting my back every day at the garage." I'm frozen, my face burning hot with embarrassment, as his accusations echo in the suddenly silent room. Jake, Travis, Marcus, and Ethan are all staring, their expressions a mix of shock and discomfort, eyes darting between Ryan and me like they're watching a car crash in slow motion. I can feel the heat creeping up my neck, the sting of his words cutting deeper than I'd ever expected. Sneaking around? Flirting? I've been nothing but loyal, pouring every ounce of myself into this marriage, working overtime on freelance gigs to help with the bills that keep stacking up. And now, in front of everyone, he's tearing me down, making me out to be some kind of traitor. "Ryan, what are you talking about?" My voice comes out shaky, barely above a whisper at first, but I force myself to speak louder, to push back against the weight of his anger. "I've been right here, working my tail off, trying to keep us afloat. I don't even know where this is coming from." But he doesn't stop. He keeps going, his voice rising, slinging names at me that I've never heard from his lips before, words so harsh I can't even repeat them in my mind without wincing. Each one lands like a slap, and I feel smaller with every syllable, shrinking into the sagging couch as the hurt and anger boil inside me. I'm surrounded by people, but I've never felt so alone, so exposed. I glance at the guys, hoping for something, maybe a word of defense, a look of understanding, but they're just as stunned as I am. Jake's mouth is half open, like he's about to say something but can't find the words. Travis's intense stare is locked on the floor, avoiding the whole scene. Marcus shifts uncomfortably, and Ethan looks like he wants to disappear into the wall. I'm drowning in this moment, and no one's throwing me a lifeline. The anger in me starts to bubble over, mixing with the raw hurt until I can't hold it in anymore. I make a decision right then and there, my voice steadier now as I stand up, facing Ryan with a defiance I didn't know I had in me. "You know what? Fine. If you want to air all this out in front of everyone, then go ahead. But I'm not kicking your friends out. They can stay. This is still my house too." My words hang in the air, a quiet challenge, and I see a flicker of something in Ryan's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or even more anger. But I don't stop there. I turn away from him, my heart pounding so hard I can hear it in my ears, and I do something I never thought I'd do. I don't cross a line in the way you... The silence that follows my outburst is suffocating, like the air itself is holding its breath. I'm standing there, my chest heaving, my words still ringing in my ears as I stare at Ryan across the room. He's retreated to the corner near the bookshelf, his broad frame slumped against the wall, not saying a single thing. His eyes, though, those hollow, unreadable eyes, are locked on me, piercing through the haze of tension like a cold blade. I can't tell if it's anger, hurt, or something else entirely, but it chills me to the bone. The faint hum of the classic rock Travis put on earlier drones in the background, a cruel reminder of how carefree the night started before everything unraveled. Jake clears his throat, his usually booming voice softer now, almost cautious. "Hey, maybe we should head out. Give you two some space to sort this." He's standing near the armchair, rubbing the back of his neck, looking like he'd rather be anywhere but here. The others nod faintly, shifting uncomfortably, ready to bolt for the door. But I'm not ready for that. The thought of being alone with Ryan right now, with that look in his eyes, makes my stomach twist into knots. I shake my head quickly, my voice sharp and raw as I cut Jake off. "No, stay. I don't want to be alone with him right now. I can't handle that." My words spill out before I can stop them, and I see the surprise flicker across their faces. Travis hesitates, his intense gaze flicking between me and Ryan before he slowly lowers himself back onto the couch. His movements deliberate, like he's not sure if he's making the right call. Marcus mutters under his breath, something about how we need to talk this out, though his tone lacks the usual charm, replaced by a grim sort of resignation. He leans against the kitchen doorway, arms crossed, watching the scene unfold like it's some kind of slow-motion disaster. Ethan, meanwhile, fidgets nervously with the sleeve of his hoodie, perched on the edge of the armchair, his eyes darting around the room as if he's looking for an escape hatch. Jake glances at Ryan, searching for some kind of reaction, a sign of what to do next. But Ryan doesn't give him anything. He just stands there in the corner, silent, his stare unwavering, fixed on me like I'm the only thing in the world that exists. I feel this strange, messy mix of guilt and defiance churning inside me. Part of me wants to cross the room, to drop to my knees and beg for forgiveness, to take back every harsh word I've thrown at him tonight. I want to smooth over the jagged edges of this fight, to pretend his cruel accusations didn't cut me so deep. But another part of me, the part that's still burning with hurt, feels justified. He tore into me in front of everyone, humiliated me with lies about sneaking around and not pulling my weight. How could I just let that slide? How could I not fight back after he painted me as some kind of villain in our own home? I'm torn, caught between the love I still carry for him and the anger that's clawing at my insides. I need something to ground me, to steady the storm in my head. My eyes land on the half-empty bottle of cheap red wine sitting on the coffee table, surrounded by a graveyard of empty beer cans and crumpled chip bags. With trembling hands, I reach for it, the glass cool against my skin, as I pour myself a generous amount into a nearby tumbler. The liquid sloshes a little, betraying how unsteady I am, but I don't care. I take a long sip, the bitter taste grounding me for just a moment as I move away from the center of the room. I sit closer to the group, near Travis and Ethan, almost as if I'm drawing a line in the sand, aligning myself with them against Ryan. It's a petty move, I know, but it feels like the only way to protect myself right now. To put some kind of barrier between me and that hollow stare. The air in the room is thick, heavy with unspoken words and simmering tension. Every little I'm sitting there, clutching the wine glass in my hand, the bitter taste still lingering on my tongue as I try to anchor myself in this storm of emotions. The room feels like it's closing in, the tension so thick I can barely breathe. Ryan's stare from across the room hasn't wavered, those hollow eyes still cutting through me like I'm made of glass. I've positioned myself near Travis and Ethan, a feeble attempt to shield myself from the weight of his gaze, but it doesn't help. If anything, it makes me feel more exposed, like I've drawn a battle line in the middle of our living room. The faint hum of the music in the background feels like a mockery now, a reminder of how quickly everything has spiraled out of control. Then Ryan moves. He steps forward from his spot by the bookshelf, his boots scuffing against the hardwood with a slow, deliberate sound that makes my heart skip. His face is a storm of emotions, anger flashing in the tightness of his jaw, hurt in the way his brow furrows, and something else, something softer, almost like defeat, in the slump of his shoulders. I brace myself, expecting another outburst, more venomous words to tear into me. But when he speaks, his voice isn't loud or slurred with rage. It's low, broken, like he's been carrying this weight for too long and it's finally cracked him open. "You really hate me that much, huh, Sam?" Those words hit me harder than any shout ever could. They're a gut punch, stripping away the layers of anger I've been clinging to, leaving me raw and exposed with a guilt so heavy I can't even look at him. My chest tightens, and for a moment, I can't find my voice. Hate him? The thought alone makes my stomach churn. I've been furious, hurt beyond words by his accusations, by the way he humiliated me in front of everyone. But hate? That's never been part of it. I open my mouth to say something, anything, to push back against the pain in his voice. "Ryan, I don't hate you. I just couldn't take it. The things you said, the way you—" My words stumble over each other, clumsy and desperate, but he doesn't let me finish. He cuts me off, not with anger, but with a sharp turn of his head toward his friends. His voice is firm now, colder than before. "Get out, all of you, now." There's no room for argument in his tone, no hesitation. Jake, who's been hovering near the armchair, startles a bit, his mouth opening like he might protest. But one look at Ryan's face shuts him down. Travis stands first, his movements quick and mechanical, grabbing his jacket from the back of the couch without a word. Marcus pushes off from the kitchen doorway, muttering a low, "Sorry, man," under his breath, though I'm not sure if it's meant for me or Ryan. Ethan fumbles with his phone, nearly dropping it in his haste to get up, offering me a quick, awkward nod that feels like a half-hearted goodbye. They scramble, gathering their things. Empty cans, jackets, a stray pack of cigarettes, tripping over each other in their rush to escape the suffocating atmosphere. I'm frozen where I sit, the wine glass still in my grip. The coolness of it, the only thing keeping me tethered to this moment. I watch as they file toward the door, their footsteps uneven, the murmur of their voices fading into nothing. Jake is the last to leave, casting one final glance over his shoulder at us, his expression unreadable before he steps out. The door slams shut behind them with a finality that echoes through the house, rattling the framed photos on the walls, the ones that hold memories of happier times. And then it's just us, me and Ryan, alone in the deafening silence of our home. The air feels heavier now, like it's pressing down on my chest, making every breath a struggle. Ryan doesn't move at first, just stands there near the center of the room, his back to the door, his hands clenched into fists at his. The next morning, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, the cold surface under my elbows, feeling like the only solid thing in a world that's still spinning from last night. Ryan's across from me, his shoulders hunched, both of us nursing mugs of coffee that went cold hours ago. We've been talking since the door slammed shut behind his friends, through the darkest hours of the night, until the first gray light of dawn crept through the window blinds. My voice is hoarse, scraped raw from the weight of everything we've said, and I can hear the same exhaustion in his, each word dragging like it's being pulled from somewhere deep and broken. My eyes sting, red-rimmed and heavy from tears and lack of sleep. And when I catch a glimpse of Ryan's face, I see the same weary shadows under his. The lines etch deeper than I remember. Beyond the kitchen, the living room is a mess, a battlefield of scattered beer bottles and crumpled cans glinting in the faint morning light, each one a silent witness to the chaos that unfolded just hours ago. The stale smell of alcohol and leftover chips still hangs in the air, a bitter reminder of how far things spiraled out of control. We've laid it all bare, stripped down to the ugly, jagged truths we've been avoiding for too long. I listened as Ryan poured out his insecurities, his voice cracking when he admitted how much the money struggles weigh on him, how he feels like he's failing me every time a bill goes unpaid, How inadequate he's felt watching me hustle with freelance work, while he's stuck pulling grueling shifts at the garage. And I confessed my own burdens. The loneliness that's been eating at me. The resentment that's built up from feeling taken for granted, like I'm just a fixture in this house instead of his partner. I told him how suffocated I felt by the constant presence of his friends, their late-night invasions turning our home into something I don't recognize. It hurt to say it, but I had to. Every word felt like peeling back a scab, painful but necessary. Then came the hardest part. I looked him in the eye, my hands trembling around that cold mug, and I owned up to my mistake. I told him I was wrong to vent about our problems to his friends behind his back, to let my frustrations spill out in a way that betrayed his trust. I could see the flicker of pain in his expression when I admitted it, the way his jaw tightened, but he didn't lash out. Instead, he nodded slowly, his own voice quiet as he acknowledged his part in the mess. He said the accusations he threw at me last night, the ugly words fueled by too much booze and paranoia, weren't fair. He knew I hadn't crossed any lines in the way he'd implied, and he hated himself for letting his insecurities twist into something so cruel. Hearing him say that didn't erase the sting of those words, but it was something, a crack in the wall between us, letting a sliver of understanding seep through. We didn't magically fix everything. There's no fairy tale ending here, no sweeping promises that everything will be okay. But we did agree on a starting point. We're going to try counseling, to have someone help us navigate the mess we've made of our marriage, to figure out if we can rebuild what's been crumbling for so long. And we set a boundary. Those late-night visits from his friends, the ones that turn our home into a rowdy bar, have to stop. We need this space to be ours again, a place where we can face each other without an audience. It's not a perfect plan, and I don't know if it'll work, but it's a step, a fragile thread of hope we're both clinging to. There was a moment, though, that cut through the exhaustion and the heaviness, a moment I'll carry with me no matter what happens next. Ryan reached across the table, his rough, calloused hand finding mine, the first gentle touch between us in weeks. His grip was tentative at first, like he wasn't sure I'd pull away, but I didn't. I couldn't. I felt the warmth of his skin, the familiar weight of his fingers. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.